So I'm reading something that I sent my auntie, Shamayaja Elsa Johnson, to help translate for me. This was going on during there was a debate on the deaf language in our now Asian government about what qualifies a leader, so to speak, or what leadership qualities should an Navajo nation codify. And one that was based on language. And to me, that was a very non-kinship way of looking at what qualifies a leader. There's a requirement that you must speak the Navajo language. And I know for a fact a lot of very young, bright, amazing people don't speak Navajo, and they're amazing leaders to me. And plus, on top of that, when you elect a leader, I'm not a believer at all in electoral politics. I believe in people building, I believe in community building, and that's the movement I choose to focus my efforts in, not in electing politicians, but by empowering individuals and helping them to discover their truths. What does it mean to be Danet? What does it mean to be a 5-fingered human being? And how do we maintain a good relationship with each other, not only with just human to human, but the human to non-human as well. Our relationship with the Hastalan, the Hemwa, and the other and Mother Earth and Father Sky, and all that's above and below the surface. So, by the end of our forced relocation to Hueldet, our people were withered by war, starvation, death, sorrow, and dispossession. It was in this situation that the net war captains, who sought counsel from our clan mothers, signed a treaty that set the path for our people to return to our homelands within the 4 mountains. From this day forward, all war between the parties to this agreement shall forever cease. The government of the United States desires peace, and its honor is hereby pledged to keep it. The Indians desire peace, and they now pledge their honor to keep it. The 1868 treaty stated, the promise of peace on our homeland is what our ancestors returned home seeking. Unfortunately today, we all know that our homeland is far from peace. I don't have to remind you of the poverty that pervades our nation, of alcoholism that continues to debilitate communities and devastate families, of the suicides that the young and old commit, of the continual decline of language speakers, of corporations clamoring for our resources, the steady rise of abuse and exploitation of our women, the racism and violence we face in border towns. And I certainly don't have to remind you of the discontent that we feel when it comes to the Navajo government's inability to address any of these problems, or the United States, for that matter. To this does not feel like peace. Yet these are the truths that have become our reality. Many of us have heard the stories of our people shedding tears when they saw Tsotzit on the horizon upon our return from Hueldet. Tsotzit is what we so-called Mount McKinley located in Grants. It is our southern sacred mountain. Our current reality is a far removal from the peace that our ancestors shed tears hoping for. Today we must shed tears for liberation, for justice, and for the freedom to live a future on our terms and our terms alone. As it pertains to how we govern ourselves, the truth of our leadership is that it has been long subdued and surrendered. Yet when we talk about who we are as a nation see, and where we desire to go as a nation, the first thing we must think of and place our hope in is leadership. To our detriment, at some point, we began to think that leadership is the most important determinant of governance. I'm here to tell you that it isn't. I'm here to tell you that the most important thing deciding who you are and where we are going has more to do with the truth. And the truth of each and every one of your lives is where we will find the peace we have longed for. We all know this truth. We all have lived this truth in the moment we were born into this world. We felt this truth as we face eradication and continues to eradicate the very essence of who we are as people. The truth, your truth, is what you see and experience on a daily basis within your life, your family, and your community. I urge you, all of you, to stop and look at the truth. Stop and hold the truth in your hands. Look at the truth. Now ask yourself if the truth is enough for you to decide that the attaining of peace is something to desire. Instead of looking to the leaders to guide our future, we need to let the truth of each individual life and each community guide us. until we're able to rethink and reposition how we view our government, how we interact with it, nothing is going to change. I know there are many of you out there who have grown unhappy with our government and the United States because of the continual misuse of funds, the lack of listening to us, and the lack of kindness. But there will never be a time for you to not tell your truth. And the truth of what we have is not one of peace, it is one of liberation that our ancestors desired. I, for one, am committed to that truth, and I will serve as my guide to work with and to live in the prayers uttered by our Amasanas and our Cheis, our grandmothers and grandfathers. That I will live and walk in Hojong, that you will live and walk in Hojong, and we will all live and walk in Hojong. So part of this process of the truth of liberation has formed my work with the Red Nation. Before, I operated very autonomously, building up people, building up the leadership qualities that are inherent in every single one of you. To build that sense of community and to move forward on what does it mean to be the net? What does it mean to be a human being today? Are we actually at peace? They say that this is the so-called most peaceful time in the world, but there are more people dying that are murdered by the state. There are more lands that are destroyed by the state. There are more futures destroyed by the state, by capitalism, colonialism, and heteropatriarchy. And these are the monsters I was raised to slay by strong Diné women and my grandmas in Black Mesa. So, as each of you were given those tools to slay these monsters that roam our land and hurt our people and our place and our existence. So all of this, when I say that guide us by love, I don't mean like the liberal term of love, like love trumps hate and all that bullshit. I love you fiercely enough to fight for you and to literally give my life for you. I pledged a long time ago to give my life to this movement of liberation. I've sacrificed a lot to be here, to be in this building, this movement capacity. And so, with that said, my partner, Radmila, has helped me to form the more Hashke side. And Hashke means the fierceness side. And the Hojong typically refers to balance or peace. And people say that we're Hojong Ke, that we are a peaceful relationship people. But what they forget on the other side of that is that we need Hashke to affirm Hojong. We need to utilize our fierce ways to maintain a good relationship, to be a good relative to each other. So you always can't hide behind culture, so-called culture of what Hojong is, which is really passivity, which is really complicitness to the monsters that roam the land, because it only protects them and doesn't protect us. And so that is how I pledge my efforts and my life's liberation to this movement, is for us all to walk in Hojong and for us all to activate our natural abilities of fierceness to love and protect each other, to be good relatives to each other. So, okay.